All right, so today I am joined by the amazing, the fabulous, and the hilarious Sandra Bernhard. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So,
Good.
so tell me, how excited are you for your new live show, the tour with the Shapes and Forms?
Well, I'm very excited because I premiered it at Joe's Pub over the holidays,
Mhm.
and I once again managed to come up with new material and new songs and things that I felt were really fun and relevant, and it just came together beautifully. So
Mhm.
it's nice to be able to take it out on the road and go to some markets I haven't been to in a long time. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this tour will be hitting some pretty iconic cities like New York, Chicago. Are there any stops you're really excited and looking forward to?
Yeah, well, definitely the Midwest. I mean, I've always had a big following in Minneapolis and
Mhm.
haven't been to Milwaukee in ages. And Chicago, which I usually perform every year, I haven't been to since before the pandemic, which I can't
Oh,
even
really?
believe. So I'm really excited to get back there.
Mhm.
I just also want to clarify that my show that I'm going to be doing at the Cafe Carlisle is a different show. It's more musical.
Okay.
It's simply titled The Best of Sandra Bernhard. And it's a lot of songs that I've been wanting to cover with my band, with the Sandyland Squad band. And it's obviously a very intimate setting at the Cafe Carlisle. So it's just fun to be able to focus a little more on my music and not have to just, have more of a balance of commentary and comedy and
Mhm.
of course, I'll throw some asides in, but I'm really just focusing on the music there.
Okay, awesome. Well, with any live Sandra Bernhard performance, what do you ultimately hope audiences take away from it?
Well, number one, the most important thing to me is that people are entertained,
Hmm.
but on many other different levels and layers, I hope they come away with understanding a little bit more about themselves, about the world and culture and where we're at. I mean, we're always evolving. Sometimes right now we're certainly politically devolving. So,
Hmm.
without beating people over the head, you want them to know they have an ally in performers and artists like myself,
Hmm.
and that, we're here to hold up a mirror to what's going on and to become activists and to stay engaged in, our civil, responsibilities to vote, to get out, to protest, and to really shed the light on what's important in our lives, education,
Hmm.
women's reproductive rights, LGBTQ plus rights. The list goes on. It's a mile long, but all these things are really at risk right now, so nobody can afford to be complacent.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Well, which shapes and forms UT's new stories, razor sharp one-liners, new music? Is there a part of that show specifically that you would say is very close to your heart?
I just like I've managed to weave in a lot of kind of personal stories.
Hmm.
Some sort of true and some aren't because I tend to fictionalize a lot of things in my shows, which makes it sort of fun and interesting.
Hmm.
But it's like revisiting the theme of fame and people in the public eye and relationships between the masses and people in the business and myself and the people in the business. So it's sort of like touches on all of that a little bit again.
Awesome, very nice. Well, you have been captivating live audiences for decades now. What so lights that fire for when you step on stage?
Well, it never fails to, be exciting for me because this is what I always dreamt of doing since I was,
Mhm.
a tiny kid. So now that, I've been doing it for decades, it amazes me when I walk out and there's still an audience and people still want to come and see my shows and pay a good price for a ticket. And that's what we work for all these
Exactly.
years. And I'd
Mhm.
like to maintain that as long as I feel good about what I'm doing and that I'm always giving my best and a great performance for my audience.
Hmm. And you truly redefine what a one-woman show can be. What's the wildest or most unexpected thing that's happened to you during a live performance?
There's over the years there's been audiences that, or somebody in an audience who's like, a heckler or something that I've had to handle.
Mm.
Um, there's been, somebody made me a bejeweled bra top and it broke, so I was standing on stage topless. That was one of my favorite moments. I mean, it was a shock to me as
Hmm.
the audience. I think they were less, you know, rattled by it than I was. The one person who's supposed to be so like freewheeling about, their bodies, even I got, kind of
Hmm.
stabbed by it. But it's been so many funny, crazy things that have happened during shows,
Hmm.
before, during, and after.
Very nice. Well, kind of go back to politics for a minute. You have always been politically vocal throughout your career. And I kind of want to ask you, do you think comedy still has the same power to shift conversations and challenge the norms as it did when you first started out, or has that game changed?
I think it's changed. I think, especially under this administration for the second time, there's so much bullying, there's so much, threat.
Hmm.
Um, and I think also when I started off, of course, there were people that, were classified, political comics, more middle of the road. And now there's just so many people doing comedy, so many people performing. There's no way of really having the time or the bandwidth to get to know people for what their true point of view is. There's just a few people that I think have been around for a while
Hmm.
that get that sort of luxury.
Yeah. And do you believe there are certain topics that should never be joked about?
Yeah, I do.
Do
I
you?
do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, the most important thing is that it's not something that's hackneyed, that's been overkill, that there are certain topics that I'm always amazed to see comics doing certain material that we've all just seen, and between the news and social media, like there's just like a cutoff of what's fresh and what's stale. So I think you have to be really on top of that.
Hmm. Definitely. I agree. Well, outside of comedy, you're also busy on screen, including your role in Marty Supreme with Timothy Chalamet. What can you share about that film and your part in it?
Well, it's not coming out until December. So, I
Okay.
mean, I play Fran Drescher's neighbor and good friend, and Fran plays um, Marty Supreme's mother, overbearing mother. It's just one really funny scene, and I don't want to give it away, but I hope that they cut it in a way that's, it's mainly on me, and because it's a phone conversation between me and Marty Supreme, played by Timothy.
Hmm.
But you never know how they're going to cut things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we'll see about that. But right now, I'm excited if people are watching Apple Plus and looking at one of the best shows on TV, Severance.
Yeah.
I'm in the last two, well, next to last and the last episode, playing a very strange nurse, one of the severed floors. So
Hmm.
that was really amazing, getting to work with that crew, and Adam and Ben, and got a lot of good feedback from that. And I'm also in the new season of um I'm losing the plot here. Um Survival of the Thickest.
Oh, Survival of the Thickest. Yeah.
Yeah, Michelle Buteau's new, second season of her show. And then I'll be out in Percy Jackson with
Yeah.
Margaret Cho. So,
Hmm.
um, there's a lot of stuff coming up,
Yeah.
and live shows, and continuing to be up for new roles. And, that's a funny thing about this business. One day you're kind of just hanging out. The next one you get calls and you have to, pack up your bag and run out the door and get on a plane and
Yeah.
fly somewhere for, an undetermined amount of time to shoot a TV series or shoot a film, so these days when you're just sort of hanging out, you're doing press or just sort of like catching up on things, are kind of precious because you really never know when you're going to get that call.
Exactly. You never know. Yeah. Well, when it comes to an acting role, how do you choose what to say yes to?
But I mean, it has to be a project that, has a certain level of visibility and, something I'm not offended by. I would never do something that would, go against sort of my principles as a person, as a performer.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing to me, that I can always be proud of my work. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
No, you're good. You're good. And you're also in your ninth year of hosting Sandyland, your weekly radio show on Sirius XM.
Right.
How's that been going?
It goes easily. It's once a week. It's, low pressure. Um, a lot of times I'll fall back on friends and people that have been regulars, but once in a while, somebody surprising gets, I get to get somebody a get, it's hard to get people. But the thing I like most about doing the show is it's sort of an incubator for my material. I can do like topical material that I then turn into my one-woman shows. And I love taking calls from people, which surprised me
Really?
because, yeah, I mean, I think that it's a lifeline for a lot of people to be able to talk about, hot button issues without feeling they're at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a safety zone in Sandyland. So I think that's really been fun for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even though you have been in this business for years and years, what are some future goals you still hope to accomplish with your career and platform?
Well, I just, kind of like what I'm doing,
Okay.
continue to do really tasteful, tasty roles in film and television. To go out on the road, do my shows, be in front of the live audience, have a platform to say what I want to say and hopefully affect change.
Mhm.
And continue to create. That's really what I'm always aiming for.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Sandra, how can one stay up to date with you the best?
Thank you, honey. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you. You as well. How can one stay up to date with you?
Oh, how can they say? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Thought we were, you can stay up to date with me in a number of ways. You can go to Instagram, Sandra G. Bernhard, and you can go to my website, sandrabernhard.com.
All right. Then before we wrap up, are there any other upcoming projects or anything else you'd like to mention or plug at this time?
No, we really covered all the territory
All
of
right.
what's immediate.
All right. Fantastic.